Party's not a party's a man who fights crime, and we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time with John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello, and welcome to another week of Bat Minute Forever, the podcast that's hot on the heels of every minute of Joel Schumacher's Batman movie, Batman Forever, 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And swinging through the conversation like a goddamn wrecking ball, it is your other host, John Parker.
And this week, unsurprisingly, we also have guests coming in, all the way from Kalkaska, Michigan. I believe they're
Good try.
The town's hottest podcasting couple, Tabitha and Jonathan Carlisle.
Hey!
Yeah, we'll go with that. Then no one will ever find it.
We are here to talk about minute 10 of Into the Double Digits, finally, of Batman Forever, which begins with Batman having a little listen at the tumblers of the safe door, and it ends 1 minute later with a very relieved security guard coughing and spluttering on top of a giant
Which was me last week on the show.
I will say, just to reiterate from last week, I do love this little tumbler, like the hearing aid tumbler trick that Batman's doing, because it's such a Batman move. Like, oh yeah, get the guy's hearing aid. This will get us out of this. But I do also have to be like, there's not a goddamn chance he could hear anything through that big rubber cowl on his head.
and all the noise that's going on. That's another thing. Like, this might technically work. I researched it last week, as you all know. It might technically work. But you're going to need silence to do this.
Yeah. Now, oh, my shoes.
Yes, top acting from that guy there, isn't it? It's wonderful. I want this character to fall in the acid at this point.
He's doing a good job for what he's doing, and I hope that he was told to do what he's doing. Otherwise, it's just like, whoa, cool, all right. That's a wrap.
I know.
Please.
You wouldn't turn up to set with this. That would be a choice. I think he's been told.
Well, that's the thing, because I did a final bit of like, well, I'll see if I get any other information out of Joe Grafassi, the guy that who plays the security guard. Apparently, he is a Yale Drama School graduate. So unless they have very low standards at Yale, but apparently he was like the one other thing I did find about him is that. There's a video of him and Meryl Streep doing a musical number in Irish accents for like a Lewis Black comedy special. I was like, oh, no, these two know each other. And like, apparently, Meryl Streep and this guy were in the Yale Drama School at the same time, and they performed like a version of Midsummer's Night's Dream together and stuff. And they're all friends with Lewis Black, who he was running this charity comedy special. And I was like, oh yeah, I wonder if there's any kind of connections there. And I just remembered, like, oh, so Joe Grafassi and Meryl Streep friends with Lewis Black. And the last thing I saw Lewis Black in was a little film called Imitation Girl, which was directed by Bat-Minute guest Natasha Kamani and starred two-time Bat-Minute guest Lauren Ashley Carter. So it's like
everything's connected.
Yeah, everything is connected. Like, oh my god, we're just connections all over the yin-yang over here. But so I was very excited to find out. I was like, oh my god, we were like one step closer to Joe Grafassi now.
But the important question, the one we all want answered, is, did they do a good Irish accent, or was it a cheesy, stereotypical, awful one?
Well, the thing, Meryl Streep, to be fair, and I know this because my dad loves Meryl Streep, and he only loves Meryl Streep because she loves Ireland. She made a movie, Dancing at Lunasa, over here, and everyone was like, oh, Niall, she used to stay down in Donegal. I heard, like, oh, God, she's lovely. She's lovely, And it's like, oh, so everyone in Ireland loves Meryl Streep because she made a movie in Ireland once.
That's all it
which
takes.
is all you have to do. Yeah, except for Matthew Broderick, of course, because he still hangs about Ireland for some reason.
He doesn't. No.
But the whole nation is just like, you killed 2 innocent women in Ireland, Matthew Broderick. Get the hell out. But he's like, no, I love hanging around Donegal. It's a lovely part of the country.
Oh, no.
Him and Sarah Jessica Parker, who my grandmother, who lived in Donegal Town, used to see quite regularly. She's like, oh, that's Sarah Jessica Parker from... And then she'd have to say Sex in the City, and it was really weird because it was my grandmother, and it's like, don't you say that word.
You're
again.
not allowed to use the S word. That's only for the youngsters.
Yeah.
She never did that anyway. She was courting. That's the old people term. My grandparents would say that to me. Are you courting? What? I'm like 15. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like I was up in court, but I don't know. That's what you're talking about.
10 or 15 times a week, me in court.
But that was one thing though. I was just reminded of this week though, because I'm over visiting my family actually at the moment. And my niece loves watching Strictly Come Dancing, which is just like the celebrity dancing show.
Yeah, well, you've got that in America, don't you? But it's a different name.
We have Dancing with the Stars.
That's it. It's basically the same thing.
That's a title I can get behind though, because Strictly Come Dancing is just like, well, what's that about? But Dancing with the Stars is just telling you what the show is.
Yeah.
It's like, cut to the point.
At least you know what you're getting with that.
The episode I watched with her had one of the couples, I don't know who they were, dancing to Kiss from a Rose from this very movie. But the thing is, like, they were like, oh yeah, Batman connections and stuff like that, because it was like a movie special episode. And then they're like, we're going to go check out the Batmobile from this movie. Went there, did a little segment on it. It was the friggin' Michael Keaton Batmobile. And they kept playing the Danny Elfman music. It's like, this is the two completely different friggin' eras of Batman.
You should have contacted the podcast and we could have helped you out.
Exactly.
BBC
exactly.
or whoever it is, I don't know.
The thing, it reminded me though, like if you look into like early trailers and stuff for this movie, back before like Elian Goldenthal created his theme, when they just had random footage, a lot of it was using the Danny Elfman theme, and it's weird to look at now, like Jim Carrey destroying the Batcave with the it's like that's not the way that's supposed to go at all. It's like they didn't promote the friggin' Michael Keaton movies by putting like over the top of it. It wouldn't work.
That'd be beautiful.
Ironically, my daughter watches Dancing with the Stars, and it was either on this week's episode or the previous one that there was a couple that danced to Kiss from a Rose, and they did a waltz to it. I was like, hadn't heard that song in a while.
That's weird. Two different shows doing that. It's not a danceable song.
No, it was I wasn't impressed.
You were impressed with Seal, though. Everybody loves a bit of Seal.
But did they go to visit a Batmobile?
They didn't.
And if
they
so,
didn't, so your show must be slightly superior.
Well, maybe they did go visit it, and
No.
they're like, we cannot air this. This is not it.
This is rubbish.
It's incorrect.
they go in there and it's like it's the Tumblr from the Chris Nolan movies, and like the stars themselves were like, no, we have to be accurate for Christ's sake.
Or the Batminute podcast will insult us on air, and we can't have that.
Batman manages to release the safe door and opens it up over like looming over the streets of Gotham, and as the security guard's coming out, does another pathetic like, oh, no more. And you can see a guy behind him who's blatantly not Val Kilmer, like having to lift that door, because Kilmer's, I was like, I ain't doing that. Jesus Christ, who do you think I am?
He's the star, baby. You don't make the star lift.
I will say though, I only found out this week, Val Kilmer apparently is featuring in Jay and Silent Bob reboot. As like they're doing like, there's Blunt Man and Chronic, which were the two comic characters based on Jay and Silent Bob within that universe. And that's Blunt Man, and the remake of Blunt Man and Chronic that's coming out, the reboot of it, because it's all meta-textual jokes and stuff. But Blunt Man's been played by Val Kilmer. I was like, that's a kind of... And then apparently, I've seen Kevin Smith talk about it, and he was saying that Val Kilmer reached out to him first, which I thought was a bit, that's weird. And he was like, I'd love to be in the movie, but in case you don't know, I can't talk anymore because he had, an operation on his throat with throat cancer. Oh, no. And you see him, he has like one of those little electronic devices. That's the way he talks and stuff.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. It does. You can see him speak recently. It's like, it's very sad to see. He was just like, so if you want me to put me in as like a cousin to Silent Bob or something as a joke, that's about as close as I could do. And Kevin was like, I've got an even better idea than that. So he put him in as Blunt Man and stuff. But it was, it was weird to see, just like, because I'm fairly certain, like, Kevin Smith did a commentary for Batman Forever way back when. I'm fairly certain he ripped the crap out of Val Kilmer. So maybe he's just, I hope he never listens to that because holy crap, I'll be done for.
Maybe Val probably understands. It's not the most loved Batman movie.
Oh, I was just going to say, it was really interesting having watched Tombstone again recently. And then so seeing him there and seeing him here, I was just like, oh, I kind of liked him more in Tombstone.
What is your opinion on him in this in general? I know we normally get to this at the end of the episode, but I don't care, whatever. Because rewatching this, I kind of liked him. 75%.
Yeah, I would agree with that because I like Val Kilmer. I always liked Val Kilmer. And I do like him in this. But having, watched the Tim Burton Batmans recently, I don't know. I liked Michael Keaton as Batman, as far as moving along in this time, and stuff. So it was just kind of, I don't know. It fell a little flat for me. But I still like Val Kilmer. He was fine. He was fine. My opinions on oh goodness, now my mind's going blank. But his lady friend in this movie,
Dr. Chase Meridian.
Yes, Dr. Chase Meridian. I don't enjoy her as much as his, leading lady.
Is that the performance though, or the character? Because the character is weird.
The character is weird. I think it's both. I don't even know that
she's down to clown with Batman from second one, and it's very distracting.
It is, and I don't know that anybody else playing that part that it would have been any different. I think I just didn't like that character.
And Jonathan, what do you think then? Do you like Val?
I think at the time when this movie came out, I was also a Val Kilmer fan, so I was like, yeah, no, it's just fine. Rewatching it now, I think I don't have a problem with him. I don't know what the behind the scenes was or anything, but it seems like this whole movie is a weird balance of trying to go back to 60s Batman, but also trying to make a transition from Tim Burton's Batman. And that makes Val Kilmer just kind of nothing. Or, like even him as Batman, him as Bruce Wayne is just so like even keeled, and there's really not a lot there.
I think the way I interpret it now is that like his version of Batman, because they do spend quite a bit of time on his psychology, and particularly in the script, there's loads of deleted scenes going much more into the psychiatry element of it. I think what he's trying to do is like, this is a man who's dead inside. Like he is completely shut down emotionally. Like that's why he's so like plain and stuff, is because like, yes, in order to be Batman, he just feels, it's almost like friggin' Christian Bale in American Psycho. He's just like, he feels nothing. He's just, all it is now is like a husk of a person that used to be there. And that's who Bruce Wayne is. Whereas, Michael Keaton had like the facade of Bruce Wayne and the kind of like, quirky, lovable Bruce Wayne and his, at parties and stuff at the beginning of the first movie. And then he was like a more solemn, serious type when you got him. But this is, Val Kilmer's is very much just like, he's just nothing. There is nothing there. But the shape of a man who once was a kid called Bruce Wayne, basically.
Oh, and then what the hell is Clooney doing? Good God, we're going to get to that.
He's doing George Clooney.
He's doing George Clooney.
I kind of like the dead Batman in this movie in the way that if they're going to throw the like straight up 60s Batman stuff in there, I like that Batman isn't a large part of that. Like in this minute, you have the guard that's just like, oh, and Batman's just doing his thing and doesn't really react to that guy. He just saves him, and like,
he kind of ignores every single thing he's saying.
Yeah. Actually, I kind of like the delivery though, because he gives a little look at him before he just goes like, "Hang on."
Yeah,
but he almost has a slight kind of like, just. I'm thankful to be rid of you now. Just hang on. Just right, that's you. Done. That guy's out of here.
All the overacting is fantastic though, because Two-Face does something wonderful here. When Batman actually gets out of the trap, he sort of screams in anguish, because his plan has been foiled. He can't stop Batman now, and he just sort of goes like, "Ah!" It's so wonderfully priceless. Why is he doing it? I don't care. I'm happy.
I do wonder, like, what this movie would be like if everybody was just going, like, if you had Val Kilmer doing, like, an Adam West-esque performance in this, too, of, like, at the end, like, who's your tailor, old chum? And trying to throw in things like that. Like, would it have been better? Would people have liked it more? Or?
Yeah, should they just lean into it 150%? Because it's kind of half one thing, half another, isn't it?
I think at this point, I would have enjoyed that more because it would have just been nostalgic and funny, and just the campiness of it. I think at the time it came out, it wouldn't have gone over well.
No,
it would have been even more distracting. I suppose this is the transition because the next movie pretty much is like, let's just do the 60s.
Yeah. I think they still should have. I think it was like week 1, but I maintain it. Like, should have had when he's doing the Batman voice, just be Doc Holliday's voice. Just because people like that character. So just be like, you need help, Harvey. Give it up.
That'd be amazing.
This is like, for some reason, Batman's like a Southerner now, I guess. But Bruce Wayne is like, he's middle America, but then so it couldn't possibly be the same guy.
There's definitely a point later in the movie when Bruce was laying in bed, and I was totally like thinking, like, when Doc Holliday's laying in the bed, like lunger, and he's got tuberculosis and everything. It was just, Tombstone was so fresh on my mind, I guess, with this whole movie.
I would have loved the scene though of like having like Two-Face flipping the coin, and then Batman just starts like flipping the coin around his fingers and stuff, just like showing off back to him. I'm just like, this is what Val Kilmer does.
I'll be your Huckleberry.
That'd be amazing as well, because it would annoy Two-Face.
Yeah,
that's how you could like really get to him.
You can't get him more annoyed than he is right now. I like punching the wall of the helicopter and stuff.
Yeah, I like that Two-Face reacts, but then when Batman shoots off his batarang or whatever you call it, I know the batarangs are like the boomerang things.
Bat grappling hook.
Bat grappling. But I like it when that hits through the wall, and then he's like all in anguish again, like, oh no, his thing worked. And...
yeah, like he thought that he wasn't gonna just do that. He does this every time. He uses this thing every 5 minutes.
I was saying, it's really crazy that his grappling hook actually works. As easy as that goes through the wall, that...
Oh, yeah. This might as well be shooting through a friggin' cardboard box
I know.
or something.
It's just like...
I know, how powerful is this thing?
Well, I think it's... Within continuity, it's just like after that experience with Vicky Vale, where it's like, you weigh a little more than 108. He's like, I ain't taking any more chances. I'm getting a grappling hook that can hoist a friggin' giant iron safe.
Well, that's always my thing with Batman and Spider-Man is like, you can imagine that both of their powers and their webs and their grappling hooks are all powerful or whatever, but then you always think like, well, whatever they're sticking to has to also be all powerful, because if Spider-Man's sticking to some bricks, like, okay, bricks are pretty strong, but if he's sticking to a glass window and he's holding onto a helicopter, like, I don't know, maybe that glass would give away at this point.
I think you've just pointed out something amazing, and you've ruined Spider-Man for me, because I never thought about it.
Although Spider-Man's a little more playful, and I think that they do actually play around with that more. I mean, Spidey's like, oh, whoops, I shouldn't have done that. But Batman, I don't know that they really play around that much.
No, because he swings a huge safe on like sheetrock drywall. Basically, is what it looks like.
Perfectly fine.
At least that's because he's shooting it through the same wall that the thing is actually going to end up going through. So at least it's like a lot of down pressure and not straight out pressure. So that would help a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, getting into the science.
If he just didn't figure any of this out, and all of a sudden it's just like the grappling hook gives way, and Batman's just dropped a giant safe full of acid on the citizens underneath. And he's just like, ooh,
whoops.
Well,
this is going to be messy.
Guess better team up with Two-Face now, because I guess I'm a bigger villain than him.
He'd create a new villain as well with the acid.
Or, a whole city of villains. But I think, it's Batman, so there's like a little bit of like techno magic, I guess, there. But like, if this was any kind of real, like, Batman is killing this guard. There's no way this guard is surviving this.
But
it's amazing how it works as well, because he cuts the chain, and then he's got it on the grappling hook, and he uses the grappling hook to sort of swing it like a wrecking ball back through the hole. Get Miley Cyrus on the line anyway, infringing here. But it's amazing. I genuinely really loved this. How does he manage to swing it right back into place like a glove?
Like a glove.
I was trying to be subtle with that.
Oh, there's nothing subtle about this movie.
But well, that's the weird thing though, because as ridiculous as this, the whole safe going through the wall thing, that's not in any of the scripts either. That's just like,
No.
that must have been like really late in the day. Like, we need a button here. We need something even more like crazy to happen. So like, well, if he grapples the safe and then it swings way back in that way. I think that's.
But I think it's
cool.
great. I think that's very Batman.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're asking like, how does Batman know how to do this? Classic answer, John. Because he's Batman. Of course he knows how to do it.
How does the grappling hook work? Oh, because it does.
Right. That's why in this scene, I don't really have a problem with Batman. Like, it's like, oh boy, he just did that. But I actually don't have any problem with him doing that because he's Batman. But my main question about this whole scene is like, how come the helicopter didn't move anywhere? Like he can only do this because they've been in the same spot the whole time.
That's another thing I didn't think about. Hang on. Yeah, this wouldn't work if it moved even like a foot.
Well, so maybe that's what, like, spoilers for later on in the week, but when Two-Face shoots that one goon, it could be like him realizing, wait a minute.
You idiot.
That's all your fault, damn it.
It could have just flown away a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And completely ruined Batman's plan. Unless he maybe he did the calculation, right? I need the grappling hook to be exactly this length, so I'll turn this setting. And, Batman can do the math.
Well, one thing I do want to talk about is the what is going on in the apartments of this version of Gotham. Because, like, you see, like, in the background, you've got 2 windows that have blue lights coming out of them. You got one that's got, like, a yellow light. You got a purple light. You got 3 with green lights. You got a couple of reds in there. And it's like, why do people have such weird colored light bulbs in their apartment in this mega city?
It's predicting the future. Now with these smart light bulbs where you can set up like different color schemes on them and things, I think that's what it is. It's predicting those. I've even seen ones that you can get that they'll glow in the color of like your sports team when you're watching the game. And when they like score or something, it'll start flashing like,
They could have done ones that were like partially like blue purple lights and other ones that are like bright purple lights. So one's Team Two-Face and one's Team Batman. And they're all, so I think Batman's gonna win now. Turn the light blue. Just like. But we haven't really talked. We've alluded to the new Gotham that we have here because it's drastically different from the German expressionist like nightmare of Tim Burton's Batman Returns. And that was, of course, production designer. That was Bo Welch, husband to Catherine O'Hara. Guy frequently still working to this day, did all that Lemony Snicket show for Netflix and stuff.
Well, and that looks amazing as well.
That show's awesome.
But this entirely different production designer, and this was a woman called Barbara Ling, who's not done many films, but some of them are pretty impressive. Most recently, she was the production designer on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is like, if you watch that movie, it's like this, like the level of detail to make it look like this is 1960s California is insane. Like, it's so well done that like everything is like, this looks like I'm completely convinced you have enveloped me in this world. If nothing else about the movie, it's like everything looks period piece perfect, No, it's wonderful.
It's very different, and I prefer the other aesthetic. But the work that's gone into creating this Gotham is fantastic.
But she also worked on No Reservations, featuring Aaron Eckhart, of course, the future Two-Face. She came back for Batman and Robin. She did production design for With Honors, which is the Brendan Fraser is a college student having his essays held hostage by a homeless guy played by Joe Pesci. It's a weird movie. It's a terrible movie, too. He did The Doors, of course, with Val Kilmer. Falling Down, of course, again, with Joel Schumacher. And her first movie was True Stories, which is, if people don't know, that's David Byrne from Talking Heads. His directorial debut. He's made a movie kind of tying in to that album, Talking Heads, True Stories. That's where the song Wild Wild Life comes from. You see the video for that. You'll be like, why is John Goodman in this music video? It's because he's in this movie with the David Byrne made and stuff. But then she also made some weird thing called Making Mr. Right, where it's about John Malkovich as a robot that must learn how to love.
This sounds beautiful.
It sounds very similar in a weird way to Heartbeeps, which of course is like, I guess that ties in because that's Andy Kaufman. Jim Carrey played Andy Kaufman, so maybe it is all tying together. But
everything's connected.
It also sounds a bit like, because it's 87, so it's just prior to like TNG. So like maybe Star Trek The Next Generation were like, this Data character, I want him to be like Malkovich and that the Making Mr. Right thing, where he doesn't understand emotions, so he has to learn how to emote like a human and stuff. And it's like, they rode that friggin' Making Mr. Right ripoff for 7 damn seasons, and now they're bringing him back for Picard. I mean, this is ridiculous. But I do have a brief quote from Barbara Ling and her talking about like the design of Gotham. It was designed to be more like the New York of the 1930s. Because she's like, everything in New York back then was huge.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's she was hoping to keep it the sense of timelessness that Burton was really striving for, where you can't quite tell what era you're in. But with that, like, his was like, oh, it could be the 40s, it could be the 80s, you can't really tell. But this is like, this definitely ain't the 40s. Like, this doesn't look, it looks way too modern and stuff. But the thing is, like, apparently a lot of the neon is based on old New York again. Apparently, like, the New York used to be covered in neon signs, and it's like, well, you could only see them in black and white photos. But I guess maybe she's into it. Like, oh, back in the day, you would have had weird multicolored neon lights around the city. Like, it was.
I would love that.
It's just another thing you would think of, because I guess we still think of the past as being in black and white, kind of, or at least a bit monochrome, where she might have been, ahead of the curve, going like, no, they would have had multicolored lights, and so everything would have been very colorful back then. That's what I'm going for. / Tokyo, modern day Tokyo.
I've legitimately heard kids like ask their grandparents, like, "Oh, when you were young, was everything black and white?"
And then the day color came into the world, it was like, oh my God, what happened? It was like the end of, Pleasantville or something.
Yeah. I was thinking of that. I couldn't remember the name.
It was like that. Like Reese Witherspoon and Tobey Maguire brought color to the world as well.
Changing our lives forever. Thank you, you two.
Yeah, but even according to the Batman Forever official movie magazine, they talk about Barbara Ling taking a lot of influence from The Dark Knight Returns as well, which I remember being much more monochrome. But they're saying no, in terms of all the colors and stuff, that's where it came from.
Okay.
Because they wanted to make it more color saturated than the previous two, and they're like, oh, like The Dark Knight Returns. It's like, I guess Robin kind of pops and stuff in it, so I guess there's a bit of color in it, but I everything else about what she was saying made sense. And then this thing going, like, it's based on this comic book. It's like, I don't remember that comic book being like jazzy, like random multicolored lights everywhere. But hey,
your memory fails you.
Yeah, this movie, I think Tim Burton's stuff, it is very ambiguous to the time frame. You don't know what time it is. This one, it's like I can see that they're playing with that, but this one seems like they're just actually mixing different time frames. So like the cops that come in at the end of this minute, they're toting like I don't know, like rifles, and I don't know what kinds of guns they are, but they have very modern outfits.
Yeah.
But then there's certain other things that seem pretty old time. So it's like, okay, this movie is mixing the 90s with the 60s and stuff, where Tim Burton's were just like, there's elements, but I don't really know what this is as a whole. This one's just like...
Yeah, the Burton ones had them blended.
Yeah.
Whereas here, they're just sort of mashed together.
Yeah.
Thrown together.
Like having a scene of Batman, like, firing a laser gun, and then the next scene, he gets a riddle sent to him that's on, like, an old gramophone record or something. Like,
yeah.
It's a cutting edge technology, Alfred.
Yeah, it's a good point, though. It's a very different thing. Because Burton's was kind of, muddy and mysterious. Like, well, I don't know, it could be this era, it could be that. Whereas this is just like, here is a thing from the past.
Yeah.
Here is a thing from now.
But they definitely went with neon through the whole movie, and not just the buildings and the lights, but down to the characters themselves, later on in the movie with the gang that...
Oh, yeah.
that Robin runs into, and the weapons of the goons,
I would
stuff.
hate to hang out with that gang. It just seems like they would be a real eyesore if you were just if you just spent hours with them. They'd be like, oh my god, just need to look at anything else but this horrible day glow freaking colors.
And that's the only reason you didn't want to hang out with them, because we all know you run with the gang.
Oh, of course, yeah. Like if it was, the Red Triangle gang, I'd get bored with them, except for the whole living in the sewer thing. But
Maybe that's why they're so afraid of Batman, because they can't see him because they're so used to the glow lights and stuff.
It's cheating, damn it! You're not allowed to hide.
This is like Batman himself just kicking back. Like, these new gangs are making it so much easier for me than they used to.
Oh, that could have been. I'm sorry, that's like jumping way ahead to other people's minutes, but it would have been kind of funny with all like the day glow and stuff. Like if Batman would have swooped in and he had that like on his cape, and then it all just went into like Batman at the go-go type of stuff right there. There you go.
I thought you were gonna say like his nipples were like showing up with the.
Oh yeah.
Although that's what I'm talking about, that scene with Robin. Throughout the seasons prior, we've been essentially rating the super hunks in a weird way. It's like, because in season 1, people will obviously remember, I was always shocked to find out that people did not regard Jack Nicholson as being a very sexy kind of person. And in season 2 was like surprised to find out that some people did find Chris Walken that way. But the one this season is, apparently I've been informed, and maybe you two might remember this more than me, but like, apparently Chris O'Donnell was like the shit back in the day. Like, people adored and thought he was just like a proper babe. And I cannot get, because he seems so bland to me, I can't comprehend it. But like,
okay, so that's true. Last night when we were watching it, I told Jonathan, I'm just like, I just remember Chris O'Donnell being like the hot stuff back in the day.
holy crap.
Everyone loved him, didn't they? He was like, oh
They
my
did.
god.
I don't know. Is that one of those things where they're hot till they open their mouth and you're just like, yeah, just be quiet.
At least it is in this movie. Oh my goodness, he's so whiny. But yeah.
Well,
It doesn't change his looks though.
He's not that sort of good looking in a way, though. It's very of the time.
Yeah.
I think I brought this up last week. He's got that weird combination everybody liked in the 90s of he's masculine, but he's pretty.
Yeah.
Like,
He's very
he's got
boyish. It's very 90210.
Yes, yeah. You could imagine him with the floppy hair and stuff.
the
90s
scent of a
curtains.
woman. He did. He had the floppy hair in that.
Yeah, actually, good point.
But I'm telling you, probably much like Indiana Jones himself, Harrison Ford, it was probably the earring did a lot of work for him.
Oh my goodness.
So
Actually, when I watched this again, I was just like, oh, that earring, it's going to bug me like the whole time. And it's so big. Like, even if he just had like a small earring, it's like, it's so big. It's so annoying. Yeah.
Hey, everybody loved that in the 90s.
They did. I remember girls like kind of being crazy about that because there were some guys from not 90210, New Kids on the Block that, had earrings, and it was like kind of the big thing. And I never cared for guys with earrings, but
I kind of wish they embellished it though, like in Robin had like a big Robin symbol attached to his ear or something.
Yeah, I think that's the stickler for me, is whether you like it or not. Like, he's wearing it whether he's Robin or not. And it's like, like secret identity, dude. Like,
although there's another running tally though. I'm think I might have to make this like an official, like, ask every guest, because I'm still affronted by the fact that I love the Batmobile in this movie. And it seems like I'm the only one at the minute, because John's not a big fan of it.
It's okay.
Previous guests have been like, yeah, it just kind of looks like a toy. And it's like,
yeah,
it looks awesome. I don't understand how anybody could not like it. So, what do you do, guys? Like, what do you make of the Kilmer mobile?
there's a lot of flame coming out the back.
but it's purple.
Yeah, but it seems really dangerous.
That's not that different than
Cool.
the other movies.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're saving people. Like, when you whip around a corner, you're going to, like, burn up an old lady standing on the corner of the...
Well, maybe
A
Gothamites.
worthy sacrifice.
Maybe Gothamites are used to that, and like all the little kids running around with their like marshmallows and stuff. They're just like, oh, here he comes.
Comes Batman.
Oh, that'd be amazing. That'd be genius.
Batman, toast my marshmallow.
Although I have to get vegetarian marshmallows, it's a real pain.
Oh.
Twice the price.
But Batman could still toast it for you.
Yeah.
But that's like, so now. So I'm gonna have to get like a running score here. So like you guys both know you think it's too much, or
No, I like it. My feelings for this movie, I think, are pretty across the board. That I like it, but it's just like that slightly question mark. Because it is such a transition.
Hey.
Like once we get like full
I guess
Joe,
that's appropriate for this movie, though. Really, like,
once we get full Joe in the next movie, I'm just like, no, I don't. Like Batmobile's too much. Everything's too much. But this movie is like, I see where he's going, but it's not. He didn't quite go full out yet. So I do like the Batmobile. I think it's got all the lights in it, but it is still pretty closed in. I mean, I guess I understand as a, if you're gonna have a vision, I'll go for it. But I don't really like his vision in the next movie. So this one is like a nice little in betweener.
all right, okay, well, I keep feeling like I'm gonna prove people wrong somehow on their opinions. I'm like, I was waiting to pounce and come out like find definitive proof that it's like the best Batmobile ever or something, and be able to come back to people. But
if
Not happening.
if I had to say yes or no, I would say yes.
okay, that's fine. But again, another segment I've decided to try to keep going this season. We'll see how long it takes before it collapses. It's a riddle me this section where basically I'm posing a riddle to John and the guests to see if they can answer it. If they can't get it by Friday, obviously I'll reveal the answer. But we had our miss luck with it where it's been like. I think last week Briley was just like she couldn't wait to Friday. She's like, just tell me the answer now and stuff. Like, so it didn't work out quite well.
And I'm crap at guessing.
Yeah. But I've got a riddle for you.
Okay.
And it's all tied into stuff, Batman kind of related to what's happening on the screen, sort of. So that's a little hint, but maybe not so much with this particular minute actually, but in general. But the riddle is: riddle me this: what has a head and a tail but no body?
But we don't have to answer now, right?
We don't have to answer now.
Oh no! If you
Okay.
can guess now, then go ahead.
I'm looking at Jonathan because he's good with this kind of stuff.
I feel like I've heard this one before, and I'm like, wow, wait a minute.
Okay, I have to think on it.
Okay.
I have to think on it. You have it?
Wait. A coin?
Yes.
Ah!
Yes.
Very good.
I finally got one. I'm the master. I've ruined the segment now.
That's like now it's like John. We're stopping the segment. I got one. That's it. That's the end of the segment.
Yeah. Do you want to know why I got it right? Because I am holding a coin for the ending of the show here.
Oh, okay. Well, that works.
So I was just looking down at my hand and was like, wait a minute. So yes,
I guess are we disregarding like if there's any picture of a person on the coin? Like does that
That's heads and
does
tails.
that kill the riddle? Or
Yes, it kills it. No, it doesn't kill it. It's a heads and tails.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what's on it.
Like the buffalo nickel, that's a body of a buffalo.
Oh, goodness.
Oh,
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 goodness.
that sounds cool.
Don't ruin the riddle, John.
To be honest, why are they called tails? Because
Like a lion has a. Well, even though that is technically true. Like in the UK, it's a lion. The lion does have a body, so it's like, well, it doesn't work at all. But...
well, yeah, I am looking at this 10 pence, and it's got 2 lions on it. They have a body, and some of them don't even have lions though. Some of them have like a weird crest, like the £1 coin. Like what's that? But anyway,
Yeah, I don't know.
we are going to depart now into the dark, dark night. Actually, we should actually say one last thing happens. Gordon, the cops, and Chase burst into the bank at the end.
Oh yeah.
And I had a question. Should Chase be this close to the action?
No.
No.
No. Like, she could be killed.
But you don't want to stand between that woman and getting close to Batman. She'd take your friggin' eyes out.
I understand she could just dress this way, but she kind of looks like she just threw a robe on. They just got her out of bed, and she's like, "Oh, Batman! I'll be right there."
Oh,
Yeah.
It's like, don't you want to get dressed? There's no time. She needs
It's
to
like,
get there.
You always wear this intricate negligee every night? It's like, no. I mean, yes, of course I do. It's
Yes,
complete coincidence.
Every woman goes to bed wearing that, don't they? Oh, every night. That's clearly true.
Clearly true.
Well, she just moved into town. Maybe she only packed one bag, and that's all she has.
Yeah, okay.
Just lingerie. Yes, perfectly normal nightwear. Not for anything else, no. But we will go now. We will depart into the dark, dark night. Would you like to tell our listeners where they can find you online so they can get in touch if you survive the next segment of the show that's going to happen?
Yes, the Princess Bride Minute. You can go to that website and find everything. We do have a group on Facebook called A Battle of Wits. And the more current project is UHF 62nd. That's UHF62nd.com. And again, you'll find everything there. And we also have a Facebook group, Town Talk with UHF 62nd.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And I love Weird Al. And I'm in the group. I haven't seen the movie yet. Ever. I've got like 10 Weird Al albums and I've never seen the film.
You need to get on that.
I know that is true.
Oh, I feel ashamed. And I joined the group because I'm like, right, this is the perfect excuse for me to watch it.
Yes.
And then listen to the show.
And you should,
So,
but don't feel too separate because it's a weird thing. Obviously, I guess that's fine for Weird Al fans, but
hell yeah.
But there's people that love the music and haven't watched the movie. There's people that it's like 3 different groups. There's people that love the music and haven't watched the movie, people that love everything, or people that have seen the movie. And I've actually met people that like the music, but they're not in love with all of it. So I don't know. It's weird. It is weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
How can anyone not love Weird Al? Come on.
I don't know.
Freaks, the lot of you.
That
But
was
if
like
you-
after we did that Johnny Dangerously hiatus episode recently. Like I wasn't a big fan of the movie, but I was listening to that friggin' Weird Al song for weeks after. Like,
Yeah.
it was great. I was really just like, why is he so famous for the spoof songs? And we're like, this is an original tune, and this is excellent. I don't understand why he's not
His
bigger.
original stuff tends to be really good as well.
Yeah, I guess maybe you have to be an expert on music to know how to appropriately spoof it, really. But
Yeah. Spoofing anything isn't easy, as all of the terrible 2000s spoof movies showed, because they're all crap.
Yeah.
Every one of them. They're no Naked Gun, are they?
So like one day Weird Al just gets really lazy and he just makes Weird Al movie. It's just got that same scary movie poster with a bunch of
Oh
people
my
sitting in
God.
cinema seats, but it's just Weird Al by himself. He's not even got the accordion. He's like, I'm not even trying with this one. Like, I just need a couple of bucks.
You have to pay him extra to bust out the accordion. But if you want to get in touch with us as well, I'm sure you all know by now, we're on Facebook at the Bat Minute Listeners Cave, and come and leave us a review on iTunes. That's very nice. You can tweet us as well at Bat Minute. And now we're going to toss a coin, and we're going to see if our illustrious guests survive. If it's tails, they're going to be killed. We're going to throw them out of a helicopter. If it's heads, they're going to come back on Wednesday for more. So let's see. Ooh. Dun, 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 dun. Tails!
Oh, no!
You survive. Nah, I'm joking. It's not. No, you have survived. You have survived, and this was legitimate. I didn't even cheat this time. You know, sometimes if it's not the answer I want, I'm just going to keep flipping. But this was legitimate. You have survived. You're back on Wednesday for
All
more.
right.
So we-
Bat Minute Forever.
All right, I've placed the outro into one of 2 goblets. The battle of wits has begun. But it's so simple. All I have to do is divine from what I know of you. Are you the type of man who put the outro into his own goblet, or his enemies? Now, the next minute involves an ostentatious ocular invasion. And you're a man who likes to keep an eye on things, so I can clearly not choose the goblet in front of you. Truly, you have a dizzying intellect. Yes, as dizzying as the height from which Batman is dangling. And you know I have a dizzying intellect. You would have counted on it. So clearly, I cannot choose the goblet in front of me. But you've beaten my giant, which means you're strong. So you may hope the strength of your tongue can get you through an outro. So I clearly cannot choose the goblet in front of you. But you've also bested my Spaniard, meaning you've studied. And an educated man always recognizes another, meaning I cannot choose the goblet in front of me. What if I told you the outro is in neither goblet? That this is the outro you're delivering right now? Impossible. I need to say same bad pod, different bad minute. But you just did. Inconceivable. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.